Some more stuff is coming in that is not making Ryan Reynolds look like Father of the Year. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. So glad to have Elsrich back. How you doing, Elsie?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Andy, for having me again. I appreciate it. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad because there was you posted a reel that I was like, what? And we're going to talk about it. There's two sort of topics I want to talk about. One, this kid pool stuff. I'm pushing it towards the end of the video, so we hopefully don't get, hit by YouTube policies. But this thing I caught on your Instagram last night, and it blew my mind and connected in a way of just how Ryan and Blake use their kids. I remember the text that he sent to Justin when Justin sort of wrote Ryan. Justin wrote Ryan like, "Hey man, just saying hello. We're gonna be working together." I thought it was actually a very nice text on his part. And then Ryan like ghosted him, kind of left him sitting there waiting, and then finally responds and like uses his kids in that text to be like, "They're everything to me. And it's my way to my heart and the way to destroy us." It was so manipulative in a way. And it was all in a guise to get Justin to move his entire production so Ryan could get a week off, get some extra time with his kids or whatever. And I found that so despicable in the first place because it's like, hello, Ryan, not everyone has the luxury you have to get time with your kids. Justin's got kids. Every crew member's got kids that they're not seeing for weeks on end. It is what it is, brother. That's the position you're in. But it was very weird out the gate how we seem to be manipulating Justin and seemingly everybody he works with sort of on the guise of his kids. Did you notice that too before we get into these examples?
Very much so. And funny enough, if you're not following the case and you read that text message, you're just gonna think that's just like an amazing father who cares about his kids. But right off the bat, you see him talking about how it's like a cesspool over there and the kids are always sick and they didn't get the beta. I think he mentioned something about they got the beta version of like the immune system.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, he kind of lays the foundation of, keep in mind, we have 4 kids. They're going to be sick a lot, almost to have that in the back of Justin's mind. So it's almost as if they disarmed him right away. So whenever Blake needed an excuse, it was literally like, oh, I got strep throat. The kids are sick. Somebody's sick. And Justin almost was like, oh yeah, he told me in the beginning, his memory is like, oh yeah, I remember him telling me the kids get sick a lot in a way. But yeah, now when you look at the pattern, that was very manipulative and was almost as if he knew he would need those excuses. So he laid the foundation for that very early on.
And we're going to get to this sick example. There's a literal sick example that we're going to get to at the end of the video. But before we get to that, here's just another sick example. You found this. Congrats. So rather than play that, you guys can watch her reel over on Elsrich. Go follow if you haven't already. She does a lot of hard work. So into your feed. But as I'll just play in the background as you're discussing, like they were always going to these Eras Tours concerts. You went and did the homework. So basically, summary, you discovered that one of the dates that Blake Lively called out sick from work for It Ends With Us, the Vegas shoot that they were supposed to be, you did the homework. You went and saw it. The sick day was them going to the Eras Tour. This is real?
Yes. And, I have a lot of people coming back to me with, it's Taylor Swift. I would have done the same thing. Or I would have canceled. My parents used to cancel to take me and my brother to Six Flags. And I'm like, ma'am, your mom calling out of her credit union job to take you and your brother to Six Flags is not the same thing as the star of a production calling out of an out-of-town shoot to be at an Eras Tour, which my research shows she went to 7 different ones.
Right, it wasn't like there was one show, I'm going to miss it if I don't go to see it. Then maybe, exactly, but no, she went 7 times.
So to me, it was very ridiculous. And people were like, well, she went on the 12th, she called out sick on the 8th. And I'm like, well, it would be ridiculous for her to be in Vegas and for filming to be running late, something delayed her in Vegas, and then she can't make the show. So the thing a manipulative person would do is, let me just take the whole week off. Forget caterers, forget hair and makeup, forget the individuals who really need to be there, because not everybody has a contract for the movie. There are people who are making hourly wages that you're taking money from them. So the excuse people are really coming up for her is, well, she called out sick on the 8th and she went to the concert on the 12th. So 4 days in between, somebody could have recovered. And I'm like, well, then she should have made arrangements to be in Vegas. Yep. And they're like, well, what if she had childcare? She's rich enough to have childcare on the jet with her in Vegas. And whoever was watching her kids that allowed her to be at the Eras Tour could have been in Vegas watching the kids while she filmed. So the excuses don't work for me. Try again.
Well, it feels to me like, yeah, it's a photo op. She's doing this as not clearly every time they're there, while they blur out the faces, it's still like this opportunity where they were noticed every single time.
Yeah.
And I don't fault Taylor. Taylor's probably like loves the fact that, oh, my friend has kids. She clearly is like seems like she'd be a fun auntie who like, come, I want to see the kid. Like she doesn't have kids of her own. Like I get all that. And it does make me wonder like if Blake was exploiting all that to like, yeah, Taylor, you can be the auntie to my kids and I'll show up whenever. And there's just so much manipulation that I see straight out of what was happening to Taylor, and seeing Taylor distance herself now and now support Selena Gomez a lot louder, which we just saw her do an Instagram reel like this weekend promoting Selena's album, which she's never once supported Blake via reels. She supported Zoe Kravitz early on with her film, did not end with us. She supported now Selena Gomez, who had a falling out and now clearly hated Blake, right? So it's clear the more and more I see Taylor's done with them. She was totally taking advantage of Taylor. Do you get that vibe as well?
Absolutely. And so real quick note, I blurred out the kid's face in this picture. The picture online shows the kids no problem, but I know they have this thing about not showing their kids. So I actually am the one who blurred out the kid's face because I'm like, I don't really care enough to show the kid's face. It shouldn't be about them.
Agreed. Yeah.
It shouldn't be about them. But honestly, I have noticed the pattern of, and again, I think this is becoming so deep that because for Taylor to not support her once is very loud. Like the silence from Taylor is very loud and people are like, well, Taylor doesn't like drama. Actually, she loves drama. She's always in some type of drama, but she speaks about it. She clarifies. This is the one time she's literally like washed her hands of the situation, almost as if to say, well, whatever happens, happens. And even at the concert, Taylor shouted them out. And whenever you see Blake in video when Taylor is singing, she literally will point to her child, because there's a song where she mentions the child she's holding, Inez.
Well, the children are Blake, like on Style or one of the songs, Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I think
on multiple of the songs, I believe.
Yeah.
But then you can see Blake literally pointing to the kid like, oh, she just said your name. And the camera pans to her. And I'm like, well, you don't want to be anonymous. You want the world to know that's your kid in the song. So it's like, you want to have your cake and eat it too. Do you want privacy or not?
100%. If you want your kids to be private, don't put them out so publicly. That's part of it. It comes with it. And the press should still respect and not put the kids out. It's not the kids' fault. Now, further secondary topic, this was shocking to me. This was shocking to me. So people came back and found the commentary to Deadpool Wolverine. There's a lot of revelations.
Gently tap the fourth wall too. The proposal. Good God. It's so ridiculous.
You think that's what I do?
I fucking hate Nice Pool worse than Deadpool does.
And here we
fucking hate Nice Pool worse than Deadpool does. That was Ryan Reynolds himself.
He separated the two. I was like, that is literally evidence.
They also admit in this whole thing, yeah, this was all done.
This entire
ad-lib
premise of using Nice Pool as a human shield, and this whole pause right here
all
with two
done
of my
the day
favorite
of,
lines.
like,
Why are
shooting.
we stopping?
Which again,
and
the
then
timeline-wise would make sense. Okay, yeah, this is then it would have connected right to the whole issues with Blake.
It was never part of the plan. He just came up with this on the fly, like, let's get this done.
So there's a ton of revelations in this commentary clip, but this was the most shocking. Aside from the Nice Pool revelations that sort of confirm his hatred of Nice Pool and everything else, this is the true shocker right here. So here it is, guys.
Poor guy.
Our fight isn't with you.
When I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's dick out of your mouth.
That's kid.
Guiltily, that is my daughter, Inez.
I'm so sorry we have to admit that.
You didn't have to admit it. You didn't have to admit it, for one. You could have just kept that a secret, which I probably would have done, and let that come out if the kid wants to admit it later, right? Like, for one, you didn't have to admit it, but he gleefully is about to admit it, and it's worse.
I am Father of the Year over here for allowing her to say such language, which, to her credit, she really didn't want to say. And then came back later and said, I want to say it now, when I started looking at other people to play it.
But right.
Some other kid's going to take your part, Inez. You sure you don't want to do Daddy's disgusting line?
And to our discredit, we made Nezzy do, I'm not shitting you, 70 to 500 versions of that line.
Yeah, I'm going to pay for that later.
Blake Lively there as Lady.
Yes, you are.
Dude, but Justin Baldoni's the problem. It's like I can't get over the hypocrisy. How do you react? You have kids. I have kids. Look, sometimes they say a bad word. It is what it is. We laugh. But I would never want my kids to be talking about sucking some C word of Wolverines in a movie at that age. I do everything I can to protect them from that range of topics, because you want to keep their innocence as long as you can, right? Would you let your kid do that?
The more disgusting part of it is because Ryan was not willing to be as fully honest as Sean Levy was, because Ryan goes, to her credit, she didn't want to do it, but then he snitches on himself and says, I pretty much told her I'm going to give your role to somebody. She said, Daddy, I'll do it. Then Sean Levy says, oh, to our discredit, we made her rehearse that line 70 to 500 is probably an exaggeration. One time is too much. 70 times is disgusting. And then disgusting. It's disgusting. I was watching this and nobody thought this was wild when they watched the movie in theaters.
Well, it makes me think of Will Ferrell's landlord skit. Do you remember that way back in the day where he had his little kid saying F you, landlord? It was funny. This little kid's cursing. And it worked, but it wasn't sexual. That's what's problematic to me. It's not like the kid saying the F word, which I'm not trying to be some prude here. This is a sexually graphic comment that he's implying he made 400 versions of. I don't even want to think about who else's C word they were playing with, or other versions of the C word that they were making their child have to say and ad-lib against their will. I smile at uncomfortableness. It's gross. It's incredibly gross.
You know, the more funny part is Sean Levy at the end of this little speech he has says, we have Blake Lively there. Actually, that's not Blake Lively. That's a stand-in. So you're telling me Blake Lively was coming up of postpartum, didn't feel her body was ready enough to be standing there looking all lady pool, so you guys found her standing, she voiced it. So you're gonna let your child stand there, say this in a mask?
Well, to be fair, I don't know if that's Inez under the mask. That could have been ADR'd as well. Just like Matthew McConaughey is probably ADR'd as well. I'm assuming all of those are stand-ins.
I'm gonna say it's Inez because there are backstage. What do you call it? They're behind the scenes where Ryan is talking to the director, and she's pretty much attached to Ryan's hip. So the whole time she's
if
following.
That's true, that's even worse.
But the thing is, even if it's not her in a mask, the same way that's not her in a mask is the same way she never had to utter those lines. It never had to be her. You could have used a grown man, a grown person who sounds like a kid. First of all, that line was unnecessary. How did we get there?
It wasn't even funny. It wasn't even that funny.
It's bizarre. It was very bizarre. And to say the parents.
It's just funny hearing Blake Lively couldn't fit the suit. And the whole text exchange where she's acknowledging it's my job to be fit and to work out. It is. It absolutely is. And it's not out of base for a director to make sure you're in shape for the role that you've been cast. It's not.
You know what I just thought of? If Blake Lively was accusing Justin Baldoni of fat shaming her, is she accusing her husband of not making her right? Because that's fat shaming.
Sean Levy, Reynolds, how dare you not use her postpartum body? Isn't it just as beautiful? I mean, how dare they? I mean, with her logic, she could have easily spun this as sexual harassment against Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds. 100%.
Exactly.
Oh, it is so frustrating. But thanks to people like Elsrich, we catch all this stuff. Calling out a sick work, using your kids manipulative, and then forcing your kids to say this stuff. Oh, shameful and disgusting, truly. Make sure you give Elsrich a follow over on Instagram. Always a pleasure. We got to have you back on. And we're going to be having her in the documentary soon. I'm saving her interview so we get a little closer. She's going to fill in a lot of the holes that we're still trying to put together. But always a pleasure to have you here, Elsie. Enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you subscribe to her here as well. Hit the bells, hit the buttons, all those things. Smash the like buttons. Leave your comments down below. What surprises you more out of those two stories? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming your way here on Popcorn Planet.
Thank you, Andy.